Welcome in, everybody. It is me again. Second video on this fucking channel. Welcome back. Today, we are gonna be talking about probably the cosplay that kinda got me onto the map for most people that know me, which is Mizora. Oopsie, you can see her here. I slapped her tit. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. Unless, maybe I did. It's one of the first bigger cosplays that I've made, and following this cosplay, I got so many followers. When I started, I had like 50 followers on Instagram, and I posted these pictures and went to one convention with it, and then I had like 300, which is a lot for the beginning. What makes this so special? You see this and you're like, what the fuck? It's just a dress with tits out. Yes, well, not only does it have tits out, which attracts all the men, most of the men, it's also fully in body paint. It also has wings. It also has horns. It also has like jewelry on the head, on everything. I could have taken down my Mizora wig. It's up there. It's all the way on top of my shelf on the wall, and I'm too fucking tiny to get it, so I guess. I mean, I do have chairs. Nah, you'll see videos, it's fine. Wig doesn't look that great anymore. It's been a while. It's been a rough few years for her. My notes here say intro. I guess that was my intro. Chapter 1, kind of. Information. For those of you who don't know, this is Mizora. I don't know if she has a last name. I don't think so. It never says anything about her last name anywhere. She is specifically a character from Baldur's Gate 3, the video game. She is a Cambion. She's not a devil. She's not like, I don't know, whatever a lot of people have told me. It's such a cool devil cosplay. She's not a devil. I mean, I personally don't care if you comment that. That's fine. I'm not going to judge people for not knowing. But there's a lot of people out there that reacted very negatively to these comments, saying, she's not a fucking devil, okay? Get your facts straight. She's not a devil. Okay, so I'm here to tell you. She's a Cambion, which is a type of fiend. Basically, Cambion is half fiend, half human. Do with that information whatever you want. If you continue calling her a devil, I don't take it that seriously. It's fine. She is a side character, a pretty important one if you get into Will's background story. You can only encounter her when you have Will in your party and when you decide to follow Will's background story. You cannot romance her. You can fuck her. You can have one sex scene with her. You cannot romance her though, okay? You cannot be in a long-term relationship. You can fuck her and that's it. She is a baddie. She's a bitch. She's a baddie girly pop. She's everything I'm living for. She's everything I strive to be. She's everything I want to be. I think that's enough information that I have about her that I can give you. It's a whole power dynamic thing. A lot of people like her because a lot of people want to be with her or be like her. Let's get into basically what this main whole thing is about, which is a big tutorial on how... Oh my god. There ain't no way I got that on video. Why are all my fucking... Everything that I do is so chaotic. I never get mail. Whoa, what's this? It's like cough drops. Bro, that scared me so much that I now have to take a poop. Chapter 2. Probably what everything is here for. How I made her. My mom made the dress. My mom made the jacket. Look. The jacket has little thumb holes because that is how it is. Okay, I'm getting ahead of myself. Part 2.1. 3D print. I started by getting 3D printing files for all of the jewelry that you can see. I fucking keep hitting her on the tit. I'm sorry. All the 3D files for the jewelry, I got it online off of an Instagram account that I found, which is called Crowtech_Inc. I printed some of these on a resin printer and some of them on a filament printer. If you don't know what the difference is, or if you want to know more about like 3D printing and stuff, let me know. Put it down in the comments and I can like make a basic tutorial about it. I can tell you a bit about it and all the fucking struggles that I've been fucking struggling with those two fucking bitches, okay? I hate them. The filament printer did not like these files at all. It was struggling. I had to redo them multiple times until they actually came out right. The resin printer, however, did good. Was a good little girly pop. Once the prints were fully cured, I clipped the supports off of the pieces, the support beams. After that was done, I sanded everything until it was smooth. Guys, be fucking careful. Actually use like protective glasses and a mask, because especially with resin, if you like sand stuff and like the dust goes into your lungs or into your eyes, they're literally microplastics, micro resin. You should definitely wear protective stuff. I back then did not, because I'm a stupid bitch. We figured that out last video. So after I sanded everything down, I painted it. Well, I started the painting process, which is if you work with resin or filament printers, you have to prime it first. I had to find that out the hard way. But yeah, you basically prime it, spray it. That's like all the gray stuff that I spray on there is like the primer to make it actually accept the paint. Then I airbrushed multiple coats of gold onto them. And then supposedly you are supposed to put a sealant on there to make it waterproof, because if it starts raining, your paint will just go. Guess what I forgot to do? I forgot to seal it. I was praying that it wouldn't rain while I was actually wearing the wig and stuff, which, spoiler, it did. Afterwards, I tried to sort them a bit and used red nail polish to fake the red gems that she has on there. For example, on the necklace here, there's like those red gems. I did not do it how probably normal people would do it. I just dotted red nail polish on there, and it took like a week to dry, but it did dry. Finally, I linked them together and added a gold chain to make the necklace, and like the belt as well. The belt also has like a chain in the back, so I can fasten it together. Part 2.2. 2.2. The wig. I didn't have a lot of money, which is, you'll see throughout this video. You will see throughout this video that I did not have a lot of money, which is why I made some weird choices. First choice that I made money-based is that I bought a very cheap lace front wig off of Amazon. I tried to roughly cut it. It was as long as my hair is right now, but the Mizora wig is like, she kind of got like a long bob going on. So I firstly roughly cut it. I put it on, looked the way it was supposed to be, and then cut it, and then did it again, and did it again. Next, I tried to pin the jewelry pieces into place to see how they would be, where they would be, etc, etc, etc. Then I brushed the hair back, sprayed it with like water and hairspray in hopes that that would work, which it kind of did, and then tried it on again. At that point, I did not have thinning scissors. I did not own thinning scissors. I did not own a crimping iron, which you don't need these things to make good wigs, right? But I personally do. I today would not make this wig the same way, because I got better, obviously, and I got better stuff. Then I tried it on again to see if it fit, if it looked good. After that, I finally super glued the pieces onto the wig, and that actually lasted pretty well. Like, all the pieces are still on there to this day, even though some of the pieces are like at the back of the head and they like gravity, you know, makes them fall down. They still are on there. Right now, I can see them. They're still on there. I also connected the last few pieces with chain links because that's the way they are. I tried it on again to be safe, that I like it, that it looks good. I realized that it is a bit too thick. It had too much volume. So I tried thinning it out. Like I said, I don't have thinning scissors. I tried to take out like full wefts, but it was very difficult since I already glued it down basically. So I don't know what happened in my mind there, but I guess that's just what happened in my mind there. So I'm sorry. You learn from your mistakes. Damn. Afterwards, I glued the rest down and added a chain for the secondary horns. She has like main horns, the big ones, and then she has like secondary horns on the side. Lastly, I made sure that the horns, which I will be talking about in the next part of this video, actually fit onto the wig, which it did. You have like those two circles, and in there are supposed to be the big horns. Part 2.3. The horns. How I made the horns. I tried to look at the proportions of the head size to like the horn size, and they did seem pretty big. Not gonna lie, even to this day, I get so many comments about like, oh, the horns are so big. I would make the horns a little bit smaller. I'm still not sure to this day. I think I would make them a little bit shorter, but I'm not sure. I'll talk about this later in one of the last parts of the video, so keep watching. I tried to like look at references to see what the proportions are. Like the face is this big, the horns are face big, but bigger, and it was weird. I tried to figure it out. I apparently, to some people's opinions, did not figure it out. To some people's opinions, I perfectly figured it out. I don't know. I just kind of eyeballed a template, did it on paper, glued it together with like some tape, taped it together to see if it would work. And I was just praying. Honestly, at that point, I was just praying that it would work because I had absolutely no idea what I was doing. I never made a template before, especially not for horns. So I kind of eyeballed it. I cut it out 4 times and taped it together to see if the shape actually works. After that, I transferred the template onto 5mm foam, EVA foam, and I cut it out. I sanded down the edges to a 45-degree angle before gluing them together. I could have just cut them out at a 45-degree angle, but at that point, my brain was not developed enough to realize that. So I cut it straight and then dremeled to 45 degrees, which is fine. We don't judge. And then next I fixed up the edges by sanding them down to smoothen them out. Afterwards, I drew on some lines to know where the carvings, like she got some crevices in the horns. I drew them on first to make sure that I don't like misalign them or something. And then I used the Dremel to etch them out. I used a heating gun to heat seal the foam and paint it on my primer. You heat seal the foam so the pores, like the foam has a lot of like pores, right? And if you heat seal them, the pores kind of close up. So that's why you want to do that. It makes it easier for paint and like primer to stay on there. Hair dryer also works. Doesn't work as well because it doesn't get as hot as a heat gun, but also works. After that, I checked if the horns fit into the rings. You know, remember when we did that in the last part with the wig? Yeah, now we're lining it up, you know? They didn't, so I cut them shorter. I cut them to so they fit better. Then I used my airbrush to airbrush the base color onto them and put a darker color. I put a darker color into the crevices. Do I got a tit in my mouth? Why can I not speak? I airbrushed the base color on and put a darker color into the crevices of the wing. Not of the wing. Next, I airbrushed the base color on and put a darker color in the carved out spaces to deepen the shadows. To finish and protect the colors, I put on a clear top coat. I sometimes say sealant. I don't know if that's the good word for it. I know, anyways, clear top coat. I put that on there. So that part at least was waterproof. Foreshadowing, right? Finally, I glued the horns onto the wig and hoped that would stay, which it did. Still on there to this day. Slay. And then I tied an invisible string in between them because they were too heavy, and so the lace front would like kind of try and lift. Even if I glued it down, the horns would just fall to the side. So I tied an invisible string together, and yeah, nobody ever realized. Fuck you guys. Part 2.4, I think. The dress. Basically also the jacket. I don't know why I didn't put that down. The dress, like I said, is fully made by my mom. She made this pattern. She didn't find a pattern online that has like such a deep cut, which would work. We didn't know how I would get into it because the back, like you can see it, it goes all the way up to the back. I also try to be as close to the original as possible. So we couldn't put any darts into the boob, which if you know a bit about sewing, you have to put like darts in there to get the curvature of the boob. We couldn't do that because it didn't have it in the original. It was very, very difficult to do. I don't even remember what we did, but what we did decide on that I can actually get in and out was we made 2 zippers on the sides, right? There are 2 zippers here that go up all the way to the top so I can get in and out. The dress also is it doesn't have arms. It's just like this. We made this, my mother did the dress. She made a pattern by doing the basic cosplay thing that basically everybody does is cling foil, tape, draw on, and try and use that as a pattern. It doesn't always work. The problem that I personally have is that I am, first of all, I'm very small. I know you don't think that. When people see me online or whatever, or in pictures, they don't think that I'm small because I got a big personality. No, they most of the time think that I'm normal sized. I'm actually not. So that's the first problem. I'm like pretty small, so I don't have a lot of body to work with. Also, I'm pretty skinny. And I got big old itty bitties. Big old bitties. So doing this type of cosplay is the worst thing you could imagine to do for somebody with a body type of me. But that made it also very difficult to make the V-line because it had to be enough fabric to cover my big old bitties, but it couldn't be too much because then the vision wouldn't be there, right? It was difficult, but we got into it at some point. My mother and me went fabric shopping together. I chose the colors, etc. We chose to do it in like a very basic cotton. In German, it's just Baumwolle, Baumwollstoff. We got some of that fabric in this blue and then like in a dark blue for the jacket. We also got some blue bias tape in like satin for the edges. I don't even think we didn't get bias tape. I think we just full on got satin fabric that my mom then cut into strips to make bias tape out of. Pog mother. So we have this. It has a little V in here at the bottom. It's obviously it's 2 layers. We have some, I don't know, what is it called? Vliseline in German. It's like a kind of fabric that it has like one sticky side and it just stiffens the fabric. The sticky side you iron onto the fabric like this, it's ironed on. You can't get it off. You cannot get it off. And it stiffens it. It makes it harder. It makes it more resistible. Unlike me, I'm irresistible. It gives it more structure so it can hold stuff. So she did that there, put that onto the belly because there was a lot of stuff on the belly. We will get into that later. Okay, when we get to it. Chill. And then the jacket, she also made, like I said, there's like little thumb holes there, little puffy sleeves. The dress has 2 slits in the back, 2 clits in the back. She got 2 vaginas in the back. I will explain why later. Okay, cover up. Whore. My notes read, she sewed everything for my body, made the pattern from scratch, also made the socks by using old socks, cutting holes where needed and sewing them together to make it neat. Socks. I got the socks. This is basically what they look like. It's kind of weird. I'm going to show you. I'm not going to show you on my feet because you got to pay for that. I'm going to show you on my hand. So this is basically what a foot is. And the front of the leg is like fully covered. This is in the kniekehle, like in the back of the knee, right? And then your whole calf is out. And then this is like in the back of your ankle. It goes like through a toe. And on the side, like the toe... It's weird. I don't know how my mom did it. If I could do something differently about it now, I already told my mom as a critique. The inside, she decided to make the inside gray because it would fit her skin tone better, Mizora's skin tone, which to me doesn't make any sense because there's no way that I would be able to match the gray of the socks. Next time, just use the blue on the inside as well. That would have been way better. She said, yeah. So yeah, to the probably one of the most time-consuming parts, the embroidery. You cannot see it right now because it's not in focus. The dress isn't really in focus, but I looked up a reference. I actually got to the ArtStation account of the official art director from Baldur's Gate 3, and I found some very in detail pictures of Mizora and her dress from all angles and stuff, which helped a lot. That was amazing. I think I will try and link everything I'm talking about in the caption below. All the products that I use, all the stuff, I hope I can do that. I hope I have the brain capacity to do that. I looked up a reference and I used that to transfer a sketch onto it. I free-handed it, which took a lot of time already. And then I embroidered the pattern on by hand. Thankfully, it's only like at the front. It has multiple different colors. I just got a message saying, hey, we really need to talk. It's urgent. I'm busy right now making major content. Anyways, yeah, the embroidery took about like 15 hours. Just me sitting there watching YouTube videos, embroidering. There's some videos where I've just been going for like 5 hours and they're taking up space on my PC right now. I have a cutter and my cutter is gonna put some videos in here, hopefully, of like you being able to see it more closely. Next part, 2.5, I think. I don't have a good brain. The next part is her little back hair situation. If you don't know, be happy that you don't know. So how I did that was basically I bought a bunch of wefts. If you don't know what a weft is, a weft is a hair and it's at the top sewn together, basically. It's not like a whole wig. It's just one line that has a lot of hair to the bottom, right? You'll see it in the video. Why am I explaining it? You can literally see it right here. I bought a bunch of wefts, brown wefts, long brown wefts, and started by hot gluing them together to make it thicker and wider. I checked if it was wide enough on my back in the reflection of this door because I didn't have a mirror. I wasn't at my home. At my home, obviously, I have mirrors. I sewed on some buttons onto this jacket. You can see them. You cannot see them like this. That's on purpose. You can't see them like this. But if I do this, but you can't see them like this. Isn't that so smart? Oh my God. The other side of the button, I glued onto the weft. I tried a lot of different glues. At some point, some of them worked. Maybe the mixture of them worked. I don't know. The first glue didn't work. I glued the other parts onto the weft. Next, I braided them. I parted them and braided them to make sure they looked like in the reference. And then lastly, I glued the accessoires onto it. Part 2.6, which is probably, not gonna lie, that's probably the part why you're here. Because it's about the wings. Making wings is... I don't even fucking know, man. Making wings is a task that made me actually stop working on it for like a few months, and then I had to get back to it because I didn't know what the fuck to do. I started by making a template again and printing it out in the correct size. I taped it onto my wall and stood next to it to make sure it was kind of the right size. It was fine. I brought it to the workshop that I was working at. I got some PVC pipes, which you can get at any store. Well, maybe not like a flower store. Well, what do you call it? Big machine store. The big boy store where only the big boys go in. You know what I mean. PVC pipe. It's a plastic pipe. Pretty cheap. You can get it all over the world, I think. I don't know. I used a heat gun to heat them up and bend them into shape. And since the outer pipe of the... let me fix my hair. Since the other pipe wasn't long enough, I got a second one with a slightly smaller diameter, so it would fit in the bigger one perfectly, and I glued it in there. I glued it in there to make it longer, you know? After that, I just continued shaping the rest of them. I added another pipe that just goes straight down so I can somehow fasten them onto my back. I'll explain that later, because that was a whole mess indeed. Once I was happy with the base skeleton, I glued the top together with a hot glue gun to fixate everything. And then at a later point, I shaped the pipe a little bit inward to make them more 3D. Like I didn't only shape them on a 2-dimensional level. I only shaped them in a 3-dimensional level, right? So they were like curved. They had that curve of a wing, the curve. Next, I did the tip of the wing, the very top part. That has like a specific name, but I don't know what it is. Let me look it up. Okay, I don't know. Honestly, I feel like if somebody knew that, random fact, it would be my cutter. I got a cutter. Put it onto my eyes as if you would, what's it called? When you say bad words and then there's like a beep. Censor. As if you would censor my eyes. Part 6 is still the wings. We are still in the same part. Okay, the tip of the wing, the tit of the wing, the very top part, the little... I started by taking my template again and tracing it onto some EVA foam before I cut it out 4 times. I marked where the skeleton would be on that cutout part and cut it out. So basically I could cast the top of the skeleton into the foam. After that, I glued everything together. And at that point, I moved on to do something else. And I don't really have any footage of how I finished the tip. But basically, I just sanded everything down to shape it. You will see that later. You will see what it looks like. I literally just sanded it down with a Dremel. Next, I kind of messed up with the wing a bit. And I'm just going to show you right now the progress of how I got my actual way of doing it, which I'm going to show you guys later. I started by laying down the template again, tracing it on and cutting it out three times onto 10mm or 1 centimeter foam and once onto 5mm foam because that was just the required thickness. Then I traced where the pipe was going to be inside of the foam and cut it out again, kind of like we did before. It was just casting it inside of foam. I glued the cutout piece onto the not cutout piece twice and then sanded the inside where the pipe goes because it wouldn't fit anymore. The pipe was too thick, so I had to sand the inside a bit so it would actually fit inside. Yeah. After that, I glued the fabric around the pipe and then the foam pieces sandwiched the foam pieces around. After everything dried, I sanded it down. At some point later, I got some foam clay and filled in some gaps, which when it dried, I sanded the foam clay down as well. I forgot to glue the next fabric part in between the foam parts before. I should maybe be a little bit closer to the microphone. So I tried to kind of squish it in, but it did not want to work. Oh my god, I remember this so clearly because I fucking rage quit. In the end, I got it all in, and that's basically it. This was the way that I would not recommend you do it. I would not recommend you doing it like this because you forget shit and you squish it in and stuff. I wanted to try to work arm for arm and make my way in. What I did realize in the end is that you just have to do everything all at once. You don't go by arm, you go material by material. So basically first, you want to get all of the fabric in there for the whole arm. And then you want to get all of the foam around. After the last, mistakey, I actually took a 2-month break because I just didn't know how to continue with these fucking wings because it annoyed me that I had to work so many hours trying to squish the fabric into the foam, and that annoyed me, and so I took a 2-month break. I just didn't know how to continue, honestly. So I kind of gave up on that. I was not at all happy with the result, and I just didn't know what to do. Thankfully, thankfully my boyfriend, we know what his named. He's called Eggy. My boyfriend Eggy came to visit me and dragged me back into the workshop, and he said, no. You want to do this? You do this. And then he helped me, and he actually got me back into it. He just did all the dirty work of cutting out multiple foam arms, which was very horrible to do. But he did it, and I'm so very glad. I'll just quickly show you my refined version of doing it. Okay, I cut out the fabric and laid it out to know where I have to glue it, how much fabric I actually needed. By the way, I didn't say this before. The fabric that I used is fake leather. It was like a pink fake leather, pleather, I think it's called. I bought way too much of it. Oh yeah, this is like the inside of, I think. No, that's like a little bit of leftover. I still have so much of it. I still have so fucking much of it, and I don't know what to do with it. If anybody wants to buy it off of me, sure. Then I glued down 1/2 of the foam, made sure everything was sitting correctly, and then glued the fabric of both sides, front and back, onto the pipe. After that, I glued on the other side of the foam on top of it. So, sandwich. For the connecting arm, which is the most inside arm, right? The one that goes into the back. I had to redo my template by hand. I then worked on it the same way I did on the other arms. I basically just bent the PVC pipe. I made it fit in between. It didn't fit in between the foam anymore. So I had to trim it down, which made it less stable. Because of the bending, since I had to bend it like a ton, it widened. So it didn't fit in between the sandwich anymore. So I sanded down parts of the PVC pipe that was standing out, which made it very, very, very less stable. I tried to fix that by adding hot glue in there. But spoiler alert, it did not work out. It did not work out at all. Hot glue did not work out in the end, but we will get to that later. Later, everything later. What the hell? After that, I glued the foam around it and then sanded it into shape. And finally, I finished it off by filling in holes and heat sealing it with a heat gun. Okay, the next part, still wings. But actually, this time we're going to go into the whole backpack system. I have it here with me, okay? And I will explain to you how it works. It works badly. I can tell you that from the beginning. Learn from my mistakes, okay? Learn from my mistakes. It worked. It worked to go on to multiple conventions. It worked to have multiple photo shoots, but it just was not comfortable at all. Learn from my mistakes, please. I started by cutting down the connecting arm that we just worked on, right? We just finished that. I cut down the PVC pipe because it was a bit too long. Then my mother actually sent me this contraption that she made herself because she just wanted to try it. She's crafty. She just wanted to try it herself. So she did something with like a piece of plastic and like belt straps and stuff. And she tried it. And I actually used that. It's made out of some hard plastic with 2 metal pipes zip tied on. Oh my god! Okay, sorry. The fuck? I need to shut the fuck up. Poseidon is there! Since the plastic part was too long for my back, I actually tried to cut it down. It was very difficult, but it did work out. So I cut it down. Next, I sanded the sharp edges because we didn't want to make any tears into the dress or into my back. Afterwards, I looked where the plastic would end and used a heat gun to heat it up and bend it at the bottom. The plastic was a bit too wide on the sides, so we cut that down as well. The next thing we did was put some straps through the holes and adjusted the length of them to see how high, how long they needed to be. Since the base was basically done, I got some padding to put up all around it and covered it in the same color fabric as the dress. You will see that later. I drilled some holes through the metal pipe so I could put nails through them and fixate the wing. Because when you put in the wings, they were obviously, the only contact they had was being put inside of the pipe. So they could still rotate, right? And that was very not ideal. So I just put something through so it wasn't able to wiggle, right? Now I'm going to show you. It doesn't look just, okay, don't judge. Like I said, learn from my mistakes, don't judge. So we got backpack, right? There's some padding in here for the back. And it's rounded at the bottom for the ass. And then you got the metal pipes. You got the nails that I was talking about. The nails have these beads on there because otherwise the nail heads would just fall through. Good thing is, this is not visible. You cannot see that, and I will explain to you why. And then we also sewed a tail. That's the tail. It's kind of ugly. There is way better like tutorials on how to make tails out there. We'll get to that later. So basically the reason why it's not visible. Okay, Poseidon is playing with my tail. The reason why it's not visible is because it's under here. I'll show you. I'll show you. Can't see shit from the top, huh? Can't see shit from the top, huh? Huh? The back, obviously, the back obviously doesn't look as good, but trust, because the wings go here, right? And then you have the hair. It kind of obviously doesn't look as good right now, but normally you have the back hair that like goes all the way down to like here. And you have one big braid in the middle and then 2 braids on the side. So you can't even see it, which is slay. And you still have the stuff here. You may now be wondering, why the fuck do we again have the 2 vaginas in the dress? That's where this comes in. We have a belt. We have a belt, and the belt also has a belt cover, so you can't really see it, okay? So basically, you have to imagine it. This is not visible because it's inside. It's kind of here. It is underneath. It is inside of the dress. You cannot see it, okay? And then at the back, that's why we have those slits. We have a little pussy slit here. That's where it comes out. And it actually goes underneath here. That's why you also have the cover, so you can't see it really. It comes out of the side here to hold this down. Because if you only had it as a backpack, the wings are way too heavy. They move around a lot and they like bend down, whatever. You need more stabilization, not only with the backpack. That's just, sadly, doesn't work. You need some more. And obviously, where the fuck are you gonna give that stabilization? There's a lot of people that have it like here, a front panel, but that's visible. There's a lot of people that have it underneath the boob, but that's visible. You can literally see it everywhere. So the only reason was to do it basically at the waist, down here, slightly underneath here, to hope that it works. Obviously, like I said, from the front, you cannot see this. From the front, you cannot see this. From the back, you can barely see it. Because first of all, it's underneath the belt, the tail. And second of all, the hair is all over it, right? The hair, the back hair, her back hair is covering all of this. Back to business. Bro, I did not expect to throw her around like that. Hot diggity damn. Later, we attached the tail and the straps to it. And that's what it looks like in the end. The last part that I did with the wings was paint them. Finally, it was fucking time to paint them. First, I obviously, again, primed everything with Flex Bond. I used 3 layers to help even out the structure a bit. And then afterwards, I put tape, like painter's tape, onto the fabric part, onto the pink part. Because first I wanted to paint only the arms, like the flesh parts, I guess, in gray, because that's the color of her skin. I didn't want to stain it. I didn't want to stain the pink. I airbrushed the arms using a gray color first, and then later use another darker gray to put some shading on there, to put some shadows on there. Yeah. Afterwards, I took off the tape and airbrushed a transition because it looked too fake. I airbrushed a transition onto the pink and added some veins, some gray veins onto the pink as well, which actually looked pretty nice. I did like that. What happened after, which I do not have in my notes right now, a thing that I have to tell people because it happened to me, and maybe not everybody knows this. I used a top coat to coat everything off, right? To make it waterproof. And since I also painted onto the pleather, I also just sprayed it on there. The specific top coat that I used, which was the Lucas glossy finish, it did not behave well on pleather. I thought it would just dry and be done with it like it does on foam. It did not. It basically stayed wet forever. It got really sticky, and even to this day it is sticky. So now the wings have been upstairs in my bedroom hanging on the wall, and there's like dust and stuff. There's so much dust and I can't take it off because it sticks. Like, it's literally as if you have wet glue on there. It worked, like I said. I was able to use it for conventions and for photo shoots, and it was actually okay. In the beginning, it dried like normal. It was just dry. It worked normally, but at some point it just went backwards and got super sticky. So I don't know what that is. If that's like a chemical reaction, I don't know. Just to warn everybody, don't use the Lucas Sprühfilm, the top coat on a fake leather and pleather, because in the beginning it might look good, but at some point it's gonna, I don't know what happened. I honestly, to this day, don't know, but I'm just not gonna do that anymore. Finally, we're out of part 2, chapter 2, point whatever. We're now in part... Wait, never mind. We are now in part 2.7, I think. 2.7. Makeup. Out of all of the questions that I've gotten for this cosplay, what makeup did you use is the most common one. Even though I did link everything, I did put everything in, but people still just DM me, like, random cosplayers that have like way more followers and have been cosplaying for way more years than me, come up to me and ask me what I used. And I'm here to tell. I'm spilling the tea. I've never not spilled the tea, but now I'm doing it here. For makeup, I used a company called Meron. I don't know how you say it in English. I don't know how to say it in these. I will definitely put into the description the links. As a base, I used the body paint from them. It's called Paradise Makeup AQ, and the color I used was Storm Cloud. That is a water-activated paint, body paint. If you want me to talk more about different parts of body painting, let me know. I can spill the tea. I just don't know what you guys are actually interested in and what you aren't. So yeah, I used a water-activated body paint for it, which means it's a tub of makeup and you go in with a wet thing, you activate it, and then you can paint it on and then it dries and it's good. That fucked me in the ass later. But I, on purpose, chose water-activated. So that's my own doing. And I was okay with that. And I live with the consequences. They're not that bad. For contour, I used the cream blend stick in Monster Gray. That was a little bit darker. And for highlights, I used the cream blend stick in light gray. One of the important things that I feel like is not getting talked about a lot in body paint is the setting spray. Because obviously I went to a convention. At a convention, you put on the makeup in the morning, which by the way took me like 2 hours to get done with the makeup. Just a body paint. Then you go to the convention and then you are there for like 5, 6, 7, 8 hours. What happened here? So you would like to put some setting spray on there and like powder setting spray to make it last longer, to not have it crease so easily. And that was a problem for me because the setting spray that I used was too wet. I don't know how to explain it, but there's like setting sprays that you spray and they basically do a mist. They do a little mist. some of them are more wet than other ones. The one that I used, the setting spray that I used, was very wet. So I would spray myself and you could literally see tiny specks of water because the body paint was water activated and you could see that. And then when the setting spray dried, it dried in little circles. It wasn't too obvious, but my eye saw it and I didn't like that. So yeah, setting spray could be a game changer. It could fuck up your whole thing. If you beat your face, if you do a whole face of makeup and then put setting spray on there, and then you have a bunch of fucking dots all over your face, that could fuck up your day. It didn't to me. It was weird, but it wasn't that obvious, so I didn't care. Finally, part number 3. Chapter number 3. Pros and cons. The pros and cons about this specific cosplay. Would I do it again? Etc. I don't know what to say. First of all, the cons. It took me about... I wrote it down here. It took me about 1.5 hours for body paint only, even having 2 people who helped me. So we were a total of 3 people, basically me painting my face and my chest, 1 person painting my left leg, 1 person painting my right leg. It took me 1.5 hours, even with those 2 people, for just the body paint. Not even makeup, not even putting on wig, putting on the cosplay. It was just for the body paint. I could have done it differently. I could have worn tights, colored tights. I know that. I didn't want to because I don't like the look of tights. It immediately takes away the texture of the skin in pictures, and I just wanted it to look natural. I wanted to look real. So I just body painted my whole body, even my toes. I trust it was not nice. I had my whole body painted. So that took 1.5 hours. It takes a lot of time to get ready for this cosplay. 2, the wings are incredibly weird to wear. They don't really feel uncomfortable. It's not like you put them on and you're like, They just feel weird. And then you wear them for a while. At some point, just immediately you get a sharp pain in your shoulder. And you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna die. Oh my God, I'm gonna die. You never know when it happens. Sometimes it happens after an hour of wearing it. Sometimes it happens after 5 hours of wearing it. You never know. It's just so weird. Obviously, the construction that I made is not very ergonomic, so there has to be something. But it's just, I can only say that it's weird. It's weird. 3, if it rains, I'm fucked. If it starts raining, my face is gonna go. Not only my face is gonna go, my head accessoires are gonna go, because I didn't put top coat on them because I forgot. And the wings kind of are gonna go at this point because it's like sticky now. And so I don't know. It's just weird. 4, you cannot sit down. You have wings on your back. You cannot sit down. You're gonna walk around the whole day. Not only are you walking around the whole day, but since canonically she doesn't wear shoes because she got fucking wings, she can fucking fly anywhere. She's barefoot. She only has these socks, so you don't even have comfortable shoes to wear while you're walking around the whole day. I was barefoot at one of the conventions. I walked around the convention barefoot, which was actually fine. I don't know. So many people told me like, oh my God, so courage. Oh my God, no way you're walking around barefoot. It was fine. Nobody stepped on my toes because I got major wings, you know? Also, you constantly need people around you to take off the wings. If you need to go pee, if you want to sit down, if something hurts, if you want to redo some shit, you constantly need people around you. You always have to have 2 people with you to help you take out and put on the wings, which is kind of annoying because it takes you like 5 minutes to take these off and on again. And at some point, maybe you just want to sit down because your legs are hurting and you don't want to stand there another 5 minutes waiting till these fuckers took your wings off. The next thing that I wrote down was barefoot. I already said that. But yeah, I wrote down as well, maybe a problem for photo shoots. I had one photo shoot where I was like in stones. It was like a rocky road and it was not nice for the feet. It was okay, but it wasn't comfortable. Next thing for me personally was just about my body again. I had to tape back my boobies. Mizora canonically has smaller boobies. Mine are a bit bigger. I used up a lot of body tape to try and like lift my tits and like, you know, tape them back, try and tape them to my back so they wouldn't even fall out. It's not even about making them look smaller. It's more about not having them there. So I kind of spread them to the back under my arms, you know? That was so difficult and it's uncomfortable and whatever. It also really hurts when you pull it off. Please always use nipple pads if you go braless, and use body tape. I obviously always use a nipple pad, but if you don't use a nipple pad, that shit's gonna hurt. It already hurt just on the skin around my tit. That shit's gonna hurt. Buy nipple pads. For real, for real. Next part. Obviously, this is very difficult to play with, to move around with. It's like, it opens up very easily. You can like look inside, you know? Because it's fabric. It's not like glued to your skin. So what do? You try and glue it to your skin. I got some tape. There is actually tape for that. That is supposed to stick to your skin and to fabric. You put like strips of tape down on your skin. You put the fabric on top and it sticks. I tried a bunch of different ones. None of them really worked that well. The problem that I had specifically was that you have to have very clean skin. You have to have very clean skin for that, which is difficult since I was body painted. And even if obviously you body paint more than you can actually see, just in case something shifts. The dress did move around a lot, so I had to re-stick it a lot. And I did clean off the parts where I would put tape on, but then I would move around and then it would shift. So now there was a different part. So now I had to clean off this different part and stick it back on. It was difficult because of the body paint. I had to overpaint since the dress moved around so much. So there wasn't a lot of space to stick the tape to. The pros. Pro 1. It got a lot of attention. It's pretty revealing. It has body paint. It has wings. It has basically all of the attention grabbers, right? If you go to a convention, you see somebody with wings, you're gonna look. If you see somebody with body paint, you're gonna look. If you see somebody very revealing, most of the men are gonna look. That's that. It grabs the attention. I got so many followers just for this cosplay. That's kind of a pro. And a different one, which I personally very, very, very much appreciated, was people just stayed the fuck away. Nobody was like pushing you around, even in like conventions, in like very tight corners or whatever. Nobody pushed you around because everybody was able to see you. You had those wings, you had a tail, you had these horns that made you even bigger. People saw you and they just made space. They just made space for you, which I personally really liked. It wasn't as crowded. You had your personal space, which you normally don't have at conventions. Also, there is so many times where I was at a convention and people wanted to take a picture with me and they immediately just like touched me in weird ways, which like, just ask. Hey, can I put my hand around your waist? Like, it's not that difficult. Just ask. I'm like down for a lot. If you want me, I can, you know, for a picture. I don't care. That's fine. But just ask. Don't just go and like touch me. People didn't want to do that with me in that cosplay. People didn't touch me. I was literally standing there and people wanted to take a picture of me. And what they did was, hell yeah. I mean, hell no, because they're picture and whatever. I like having fun and like making cool poses. But like, they didn't just fucking touch me. Slay. Just fucking ask. Just ask. Now to the end statement. To the final statement. Chapter 4. Final chapter. What would I do differently today? Keep in mind, this cosplay, I made this 1.5 years ago. This was one of my first cosplays I've ever made. It was my first wings I ever made. It was my first horns I ever made. It was my first wig that I ever made. It was my first resin print. It was my first painting of resin prints. It was my first time using an airbrush. It was my first time for a lot of things. I lied. It was not my first time using an airbrush. I used an airbrush for the Viper Vandal from Valorant. Sorry, take that last statement back. But for Viper, I didn't have wings, I didn't have horns, I didn't have a wig because I used my real hair. Keep all of that in mind. This was one of the first things I ever made. It's a it's a pretty big project for that. It was also my first time working with body paint. So it was a lot of first time. I have evolved since then. Things I would do differently today. First off, I would crimp the wig. I would use thinning scissors. I didn't have them back then, and I didn't have the money to buy them back then. I have them by now. I would just do that. It would last longer. It would look nicer. It would be nicer to wear. It's not as heavy. So that's one thing. Second, I would redo the wings completely. I fucked up with the bag system. I fucked up with the using the fake leather. That fabric is actually very heavy. If I just used thin layer, like a thin foam, and painted it pink, that would have been way lighter and it wouldn't be so heavy on my back. The top coat problem with the pink part being sticky, you know, it's a lot. I would just completely redo the wings, honestly. Next thing, I would redo the tail. I've said that before. There's tons of tail tutorials that you can do with foam, with any type. What we did here was basically just get a lot of like filling, like pillow filling, and pushed it inside of like a tube of fabric. We sewed a fabric around it, and then I airbrushed the fabric. So I would definitely redo that. And then I think I would actually redo the horns a bit shorter. Not by a lot, just a little bit to make them fit a bit better, I think. Other than that, I'm really proud of this cosplay. It was, like I said, one of my first ones. I really did like it. I really liked working on it, even though it almost broke me. I don't know if I will wear it again. I have a bunch of photographers that really want to shoot this with me, but the way she is right now, she's not wearable. She's just not wearable at this point. And I would have to do a lot to put her, you know, to get her back. And I just don't know if I want to get into the whole boobie taping thing again. That was like the most horrible part for me, is taping my boobs back. And then the dress would move all the time. It was just so much work. It's not even about the body paint or anything like that. It was just the biggest problem that I had was having to tape my boobs back. It was so uncomfortable, even though I did it in the way that was supposed to be actually good for your back to support, you know, everything. But I don't know. I am thinking about redoing her because I do have a lot more skills now. I would do a lot of stuff very differently. But the thing that I can't do differently is tape back my boob. I just gotta do that. I just have to do that. And I don't like that. I don't like that. I think that's it. I think that's all I have to say about this cosplay. There's not a lot more that I have on my mind about this. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments. If you have any questions about how I made specific stuff or what exact products I use, you can just comment. I'll answer. I'll see it. I'll see your messages. I'll see your comments. Probably do a slideshow of me looking fly as fuck. Okay, outro is gonna be bye, bitches. Can I say bitches? Bye, bitches. Anyways, I really need to take a shit now. That scared me so much before.